Hey everybody, Mary Z here, back once again with Voice Hacks by Mary Z. Today I'm doing something totally different that I actually haven't done before, but a lot of you have been requesting these style of videos. So in this video, I'm going to take a look at the three Nightwish singers. Nightwish is a European band that has had three different singers, all sopranos, but different singing styles and totally different color voices. So a lot of you folks out there have been asking me about color and what's the difference between the color of people's voices. So I want to deliver that information for you today. So the other reason a lot of you have asked me to do React style videos is to get through some of the clickbait that's out there. The people who don't really give you an analysis and explain the technique. Well, as you know, I'm definitely going to deliver that information. So today's React video should be extra detailed. If you're not already in our Facebook group, join us in the Voice Hacks Singer Sanctuary on Facebook and check us out there. I often poll people there and ask what they want to see. Please also leave your comments in the YouTube comments about what you want to see. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we've had three different singers in Nightwish. The first one was Tarja Turunen. The second one was Anette Olzon. And the third one, current singer, is Jansen. So these are all European vocalists, all from different places, who have fronted the band Nightwish, and we're going to compare them all singing the same song in the same key, and we're going to talk about what the differences are between them, and I'll give you my reaction to it. So first we're going to start with Tarja, who is definitely a purely operatic singer. So I really want to emphasize that her singing style is really pretty much exactly the same as it would be in classical singing when she goes and sings an opera song. So we're going to take a look at this song Nemo here, and we're going to start with Tarja. Okay, so that's a little clip of Tarja right there. And what Tarja does is she sings all classical all the time. She has the advantage on a lot of these older Nightwish songs because they are written to her capabilities, maybe not necessarily to the others. Even though they're all sopranos, they have different color voices and different singing styles. So Tarja, we can note, is doing classical singing style, and she has the darkest color voice out of all three of the singers. And that means not her vocal range, not what notes she can sing, but the actual sound of her voice. Bright voices will be the next one we'll look at. So you'll be able to compare her to Anette, and you'll see kind of the difference between dark and bright. But also, she's singing in a completely operatic singing style, which is generally like a vertical placement. It's very wide, and it doesn't have any of the epiglottal twang that we see in belting. So it doesn't have the brassiness. So we're hearing like, oh, how I wish, very like wide, lots of vibrato. And as a result, this is a very delicate song that's easy for her to move around in because she's not belting. So we're not like getting to any breaking points here. She's staying in the same tone placement, the same style throughout her range. And so we're getting a pretty comprehensive, very nice, easy flow to all of her singing there. So that's a dark voice in an operatic style. Let's take a look at their second singer, where they went completely different. When they hired Anette Olzon, they hired a very bright voice person who is a belter. And note, this song is in the same key as the one we just listened to. They never changed the key for the singer. They've always just hired sopranos. So we're going to talk about how Anette sounds and how it sounds a little bit different here. Let's take a look at her. This is me for forever, one without a name. This line's the last endeavor to find the missing lifeline. Oh, how I wish for a soothing rain. All I wish is to dream again. My loving heart lost in the dark, for hope I gave my everything. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that. Totally different sound there, right? Extremely bright, extremely brassy. What is the difference? Well, one thing is Anette, even if she were a classical singer like Tarja, just has a bright voice across the board. There's no question about it. We can hear, and what's the difference between bright and dark? Well, you can hear that Annette's color isn't quite as warm, if you will. It's not as soft or as round. Part of that is her singing style. She's belting, not singing classical. And part of it is just the natural timbre or color of her voice. So it would be kind of bright even if she were singing in the classical style. So when Anette is singing, she's fully belting, which is like a forward placement. So if you don't know how to belt or how to rock sing, or that's kind of confusing, watch the video I have here on the Voice Hacks channel on YouTube about tone placement. And I explain that a little bit. But it's using our mind to control the mechanical actions of the voice. When someone's singing with a forward placement, they're imagining their sound going forward, similar to when we speak. And what happens is our epiglottis folds over about halfway or part way, and we get kind of a megaphone shape to it. And that gives us a much brassier, louder tone. In some vocal programs, it is referred to as twang, but we don't mean it in the country music sense. We mean it in the sense of its the epiglottis is kind of bent in this position here. So when she's doing it, we're getting a much brassier timbre up on those high notes. And because she's a soprano, she's able to maintain her belting placement very high. Most people have to break from their belt register after about the top of their 2 octaves. So it also gives it the illusion that it's higher than it is. So it kind of makes it sound a little more intense, whereas Tarja's style makes it sound a bit more delicate. So, and you can also tell that it's a little bit easier to sing the low notes when we're belting. If you notice, Tarja's low notes were not quite as strong. It's difficult for a soprano to sing low, period. But when we're belting, it's a little bit easier. So let's now take a look at Floor, who's the third and current singer of this band, and see how hers sounds. Here we go. Okay, so that's Floor Jansen. And a lot of people don't realize Floor was a really well-known singer before Nightwish, and probably one of the best singers in metal, in my opinion. She used to play with this band called After Forever, and I got to open for them back in the day and stuff, and she's amazing. So what we want to look at Floor, though, we kind of hear something in between. And in between in a lot of ways. We have in between in color, so it is neither bright nor dark. And we have in between in style. We're not fully operatic and we're not always belting. So what's happening here? Floor has like a medium colored soprano voice. You can hear that. It has a little bit of warmth to it and a little bit of that soprano brightness, but it's not quite as dark as Tarja's voice. In the classical world, they actually have a much more detailed system called the Fach system. It's a method of classifying people by their vocal color, not just their vocal range. So in the classical world, I'm not exactly sure what Fach each one of these people would fall into, because we'd probably have to listen to them sing more classical repertoire. But we'll just regard Floor as having sort of a medium color voice. Now, the other thing that Floor is doing is she belts and mixes a lot. She will go full opera at times, like if you check out her performance of Ghost Love Score, definitely we're going to hear all 3 tone placements throughout that song. But in this song, we hear her doing belting a little bit and then mixing. There's 2 kinds of mixing that we can do. One is just pure mixed voice, where we send our sound here. Oh, how I wish, something like that. And you can tell that Floor's isn't quite that mixed. But there's also an upper belting kind of placement, which some vocal programs call overdrive. We kind of send it through here, the tip of the nose. Oh, how I wish. We get kind of a blend. I had to change the note and do it a little lower because I am not a soprano, as you can probably tell from my low speaking voice. So where we get a little bit of a mix added to our belt a bit. It actually causes the vocal fold mass to widen a bit. So, and Floor is very good at transitioning from belting to mix in a variety of levels throughout her performance. And that is ultimately what makes her kind of a very stable and flexible singer for Nightwish, who has had such a variety of people. So she's not, whereas we see Anette and Tarja, they're both wonderful singers, but they stick with their placement and they don't really deviate too much from it. So that was my react video on the 3 Nightwish singers. So remember, they're all sopranos. They all have the same note range, but they're just using their voice differently. And the shape of their face and the shape of their body gives it a different color or timbre. So that's how we can tell the difference, even if they're singing in the same key. So let me know who you want me to react to next. I'm probably going to do some screamers next. So I hope you'll check out my next couple of react videos. Ask your questions in the YouTube comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.